Let's go now to Glenn Mills. He is live for us in Magna, the area hardest hit where it was the epicenter of this quake. Glenn?
Yeah, Emily, this is one of those days we won't soon forget. We'll all remember where we were when this earthquake hit. I was sleeping, it woke me up, a little cloudy at first, but I was able to tell that an earthquake was happening right away. After that, went and checked on some neighbors and for damage around the house. We are in Magna, as you mentioned, the epicenter, here on Magna Main Street, about 9000 West. Right now, crews with Unified Police and Fire are still on the scene, and Salt Lake County crews also assessing. Take a look at Colosimo's over there. That's a deli and a local general store. That tells the story of the damage done by this 5.7 magnitude earthquake here in Magna. You can see the sidewall brick coming crashing down to the sidewalk. I don't know if you can tell, but some of the windows up above the door there, those were also shattered by the earthquake. I've since seen crews come in and take some of that glass down so that it won't be hanging as a hazard there. Now, of course, we're all on edge still. At last report I saw, Utah Emergency Management said 59 aftershocks. As Alana mentioned, the highest being 4.6. That was right around 112. We, Emily, were in the newsroom at the time. We felt that shake. Still, scary episodes throughout the day. You also mentioned this is the biggest one since 1992. That's when a 5.9 earthquake hit in St. George. Now, we also felt that in other parts of the state. I remember being at the old Jordan High School, where a Megaplex movie theater is now. I was in the main hall. This is about 90th South and State Street. And I remember feeling a couple of what felt like waves come through the main hall on that day. Again, it was 5.9 in St. George. We still felt it in other parts of the state as well, but not quite as strong in Salt Lake City on that one. A big difference between what we felt this morning in Salt Lake City and back in 1992. Now, we're seeing damage to buildings here in Magna. We just showed you Colosimo's. There's another building, I'm told, just west of us here on the same side of the sidewalk where the whole front face may have collapsed. You can see some brick piled up on the sidewalk is there. We saw damage to buildings in downtown Salt Lake City, out at the airport, the temple as well. Jess Anderson, the commissioner of DPS, saying this was felt as far north as Idaho, Wyoming, through the Uinta Basin, and far south as Millard County. Also, a big problem early this morning was power. We experienced that right in our own studios at ABC4 News. As many as 50,000 customers were without power at one point through the day. And then another big concern is a hazmat incident happening at Kennecott. I want to be clear about this. Not in the southwest portion of the valley where the mine is, but just to the west of me, right here in Magna at the smelter location. And we have since learned that that was a hydraulic acid plume over the valley, but we're told no one was in danger of that. So we have all these elements covered for you, and we're going to go ahead and kick that off. Earlier today, we had Governor Gary Herbert, Salt Lake City Mayor Erin Mendenhall, and Salt Lake County Mayor Jenny Wilson, along with other local officials, all coming together to give us an update on what was happening with this. ABC4's Rosie Nguyen was there for that update. We're heading live to her now at the state capitol with the very latest that we are hearing from government officials. Rosie.
Glenn, state leaders say fortunately there have been no reported injuries as a direct result of this morning's earthquake. In Salt Lake County, Mayor Jenny Wilson says they have approximately 20 building inspectors working through that area to determine which structures are safe to go back into. Salt Lake City police and fire departments ensure that they are prepared, trained, and fully staffed to handle multiple emergencies, such as what happened today. Since the earthquake this morning, they've received more than 150 calls for assistance, and that number continues to grow. Officials say what Utahns can do right now to help is to stay home.
Let the first responders who are out there doing the work they need to do, and let the crews who are assessing our critical infrastructure do the work they need to do. Staying home is a really good choice for everyone, in my opinion, as our mayor right now.
Governor Gary Herbert reminds Utahns to have your 72-hour emergency kits ready just in case, which is part of the state's emergency preparedness plan. Officials say all of their communication lines, such as 911, are also fully functioning right now. I'm Rosie Nguyen, reporting live at the Utah State Capitol. Back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Rosie. Good news there. No injuries or casualties that we are talking about today as a result of this earthquake. The governor also mentioning one of the hardest hit areas was Salt Lake City International Airport. So much so that they had to ground planes and shut down the airport for a time. It is my understanding it is operational once again. ABC4's Rick Aaron is live from the airport with that angle of the story for us. Rick, what's happening out there right now?
Well, Glenn, things are slowly returning to normal here at Salt Lake International Airport after the entire airport was shut down for about 6 hours today when this earthquake brought transportation in the state of Utah to an abrupt halt. Now, we're keeping an eye on two different things right now. One, the airport just reopened around 1 o'clock this afternoon after a pipe broke in Concourse B, flooding some of the carpet there. They had to close down TSA, and all flights going in and coming out were canceled as a result of that. That has just reopened. We have seen one flight take off here in the past 15 minutes or so, but as you can imagine, schedules are a mess. The other thing we are keeping an eye on is Utah Transit Authority TRAX trains. You can see that train at a standstill here. They are completely shut down system-wide for the tracks while crews from UTA go out and check damage and do repairs on the lines. Now, I'm checking the updates. The front runner trains are running, although at a slower speed than usual, and there is a van bridge in place between the North Temple and the Woods Cross station. They are also running their bus service as usual too. We spoke to one passenger here at SLC, a guy from Provo, a BYU student named Dustin Thielander. He was trying to get down to Las Vegas today to visit some family and friends, and he has had quite a journey.
Well, I got to the Provo Central Station today right around 7:45 to catch about an 8 o'clock train, and due to the earthquake, everything was just kind of delayed, shut down. They had to check all the rails and stuff, so sat on the train. It finally got going, and it took almost 2 hours to get to Salt Lake because of stoppages, and we really only got going at most 20 miles an hour.
So what's the situation now with your flight?
I'm on a 7:45 that appears to be on time if everything stays open and we don't feel any more aftershocks like we did about 15 minutes ago, so just kind of in a holding pattern.
You seem to be taking this all in stride. How are you handling this?
I've traveled a lot, just realized it's kind of out of my hands and just need to get where I'm going to go. No need to be overly stressed or anything like that.
Biggest earthquake we've had in Utah since 1992. Rattled your nerves a little bit?
Well, I felt the initial one down in Provo even. It was enough to stir me awake, and I checked our complex's hot tub, and there were some waves kind of in there. Unnerved. I don't know enough to be unnerved. I've never felt one before, so it's for me just something new. The aftershock that we just felt here was even a little more disconcerting, just because signs were shaking, and I was like, dang, all right, that's really, close. Must be feeling it pretty good there.
Yeah, we were inside the airport during that aftershock at 1:12 this afternoon. The windows were rattling. Everybody stopped in their tracks and looked around, unsure what to do. Doesn't seem to be much damage. The escalators went into automatic shutoff mode. Those have since been reset. If you're dropping somebody off here at the airport, or if you have a flight yourself, or if you're picking somebody else, make sure to check with your airline's website. These schedules have been scrambled and a lot of changes still going on out here. So make sure you check before you come out here to the airport. We'll keep an eye on this track service, see when these trains start moving again. That's it for live here at Salt Lake City International Airport. Glenn, I'll send it back to you in Magna.
All right, very good advice for us there. Thank you so much, Rick. And of course, when we have travel troubles here in Salt Lake City as a hub for Delta, that trickles throughout the country as well. So we're keeping an eye on the impact of travel. Okay, back here in Magna, once again, the epicenter of today's 5.7 magnitude earthquake. The city here declaring a state of emergency to make sure they're on top of everything and getting everything accessed and ready to move forward. ABC4's Haley Hendricks has been covering that side of the story for us today. Haley, you spoke with residents. What's the feel out here today?
Yeah, Glenn, that's right. We are out here on Magna's historic Main Street, and as you can see, these buildings have suffered significant damage. Now, neighbors also say they are shaken up today, but let's again go back to this damage because this appears to be what neighbors and residents are talking about. Now, as you can see here on the side of the building, again, we're going to come back to this, what you were mentioning earlier. Colosimo's did suffer significant damage here. You can see the side of the building came down. Now, some of the windows on the front of the store are now broken, and other buildings on Main Street also have exterior damage, and it's unknown how the inside of each held up. Now, following the earthquake, people within the community are coming to take a look at the damage that today's 5.7 magnitude earthquake caused. And those who live close by told us they are definitely shaken up.
I'm still in shock. I was just shaking. I just really didn't know what to do.
Now, while we're out here, as you can see behind me, we've got emergency crews out here assessing the damage and working to clean it up. We'll bring you the latest details tonight. Reporting live, Haley Hendricks, ABC4 News. Back to you, Glenn.
All right, Haley, stay with me here for a second. We've been seeing residents come here throughout the afternoon, taking a look at the damage, talking about their experience. A lot of people rattled. You were telling me earlier this was the first earthquake you experienced.
Yeah.
So this is a pretty big one to experience for your first time. What were your thoughts and emotions as you were going through that?
You know, like you, I was actually in bed this morning and all of a sudden it woke me up. I would definitely say it was, you know, I'd been hitting the snooze on my alarm clock this morning, and it, you know, that earthquake, when it started rumbling, at first I was like, wait, what is happening here? And then all of a sudden it was like, oh my gosh, there's an earthquake, and you know, now we're here. It was a rush to get out of bed and to get out the door to work and cover this for our viewers.
Yeah, no need for the snooze after that for sure. Okay.
Yep.
Again, Salt Lake County crews, police here still assessing the very situation here. A neighboring municipality also hit very hard today. That would be West Valley City, particularly a mobile home park there where residents are now picking up the pieces. ABC4's Marcos Ortiz has been speaking with them. He has that part of the story for us. We go to him now in West Valley. Marcos.
Boy, a lot of damage in this area. This is a typical example of the damage in this mobile home park located at 2600 South and 7200 West. You can see for yourself the mobile home completely off its foundation, and a building inspector tagged it as too dangerous to live inside, so no one's allowed in there. Now, earlier I spoke with one of the tenants who was inside when the earthquake struck.
I just started shaking real bad, and my dog ran in real scared, and some glass fell in the kitchen, and just loud noise and stuff.
Can you imagine when you had a look-see? I mean, could you tell that this was off its foundation?
Oh yeah, you could definitely feel it. It's on level inside, and the cabinets are open one way.
But this morning, could you tell that, you know, it was off its rocker?
Oh yeah, as soon as you get up to walk around, you can feel it.
What do you make of all this?
Well, it sucks, but life happens, I guess. So.
Now, Pennsylvania's headed to live with family members, but you know, this is very typical of what is happening through this mobile home park. I just talked with the actual homeowner himself just a short while ago. He has insurance, but he just got word from his insurance agent that he's not covered for earthquakes. Maybe the situation with a lot of people here. We're continuing to cover out here throughout this afternoon and evening. I'm live in West Valley. Marcos Ortiz, ABC4 News. Back to you, Glenn.
All right, thank you very much, Marcos. Some fortunate impact for those residents there, hoping for the best of them. We're going to go ahead and send things back to the studio, bring back Emily Clark. And Emily, I did want to mention one other thing before we head back to you, and that is, you know, in times of emergency, in times of crisis, we tend to see rumors develop and spread. And unfortunately, we did see that. So we really want to make sure that we're sharing information from sources who are reliable within the community, and that we're not just taking the word from someone in the community, a friend that we know, an uncle, so forth, and starting to spread that around, because that was a big problem that we started to see this morning. So again, just urge and caution, of what you're sharing, what information you're sharing, and make sure you're sticking with reliable sources for that. Emily, let's send it back to you.
Most definitely, Glenn. Thank you very much for that. And of course, we'll check back in with Glenn Mills later on throughout the evening here.